Hello everybody and welcome to the tier list stream. We're gonna take most of every single series that we did in 2024. Thank you, Pika. Every list that we've done, this of every series. We're taking every series that we did in 2024, which was not as many as I thought, but more than I remembered. Like, I thought 7 Days was in Snakewood was back in 2023. It was not. It was actually at the very beginning of 2024, which also goes to show that pretty much everything we did was in 2024, which is kind of cool to think about. This is not every single thing that we did over the course of the year, because some of them were one-off streams, some of them were more like what we felt in the moment, and some things we didn't finish. You'll see that some of these are not finished, but some of them we didn't really have the intention of finishing, if you know what I mean. Like Days Gone. Unless Days Gone does very well, or people request it, we're not going to be continuing it, right? So with that out of the way, let's go ahead and get started. I don't have an F tier. I just noticed that. That's fine. I also have one restriction. Because I don't like stacking the S tier can only have a maximum of 5 things in it. Right? That sound fair? So that makes me at least think. I can't just like throw everything in S tier and be like, it was all great. No. There's actually going to have to be some thought to this. That is the one rule that I have. Otherwise, let's go ahead and start. I want to talk about each of these in a little bit of depth. So this isn't the shortest thing ever. But I also want to give everything their fair due. I want to see your opinion. I don't know if everybody was here. So for Resident Evil 1, which is the one we're starting out with, Mike was here, I think, for the end of Resident Evil 1? I don't think we had started KOTOR yet, so Pika wasn't there. Eleanor, I'm not sure when you came around. I can't remember off the top of my head. Dawson definitely was, and Montoya was. I remember those two explicitly. I think Mike might have been there. But I really enjoyed Resident Evil 1. In fact, Resident Evil 1 is probably the only one I'll redo. The only Resident Evil game I actively plan on redoing. Tier. Haven't played enough. Could be used. Okay, there you go. I didn't think about that. So maybe next time. Maybe for next year. And for the next tier list stream. We'll definitely have that. That's a good idea, Mike. But yes. For Resident Evil 1, it's probably the only one I want to go back and play as Chris, because it is pretty different from what I've seen. That's something that I think could be pretty cool. So, and I wanted that to be like a members only series that comes out eventually for everyone else, but I'm not sure. It really depends on like what Amir and other Kiwi Pirate, if they talk again, how they feel about it. But for me, I think it's the embodiment of B. It wasn't bad, but it wasn't great, right? Like it performed decently as far as the YouTube statistically for us, and I enjoyed it, but it wasn't like I wasn't super like hyped to get into this one. The reason why I did this one was because I wanted to do 4, 5, and 6, yeah, pretty much that 2 through 6 range. I knew I wanted to do 1 and 0, so I have the entire. So I can say I've done the entire series. Resident Evil 1, we played as, like, as I said, we played as Jill, for those who didn't know. And I liked her route. Her route was nice. I never played Chris's route, but I know it has my favorite character in the whole series, Rebecca. And wanting to see Rebecca was a huge part of the series because we kept mentioning it, and we never did. We never got to see her. Although I do think it did a great job setting up the rest of it. The problem with Resident Evil 1 and 0 is that once you get to 2 and beyond, the series changes so much so fast that it seems almost just weird and almost kind of meaningless. Nothing you do in that game really ultimately matters, which I guess is kind of the point. Like, they didn't know that when you first in there. It's not like KOTOR 2 where you're the second game of the franchise and nothing you do matters. This is the first one. The first one matters. It doesn't matter. So it makes a little bit more sense. You don't know that everything that you're doing won't come to fruition. I like the way that Jill is designed in here. I actually liked the game design in Resident Evil 1. And I hear loosely that Capcom is thinking of going back and remaking 1. And I hope that they do. Problem, I wish they would have done it first. Instead of going 2, 3, 4 back to 1, I wish they just would have gone from 1 straight to 4. Because I'm looking forward to a 5 remake and eventually a 6. I think there's a lot of great stuff they could do with it. People love Sheva, as they should. So like, I don't think the future of Resident Evil is in jeopardy by any means. I know they took the year off. They deserve it. But ultimately, I think it is a great start for a long series because it's not great. It's not the best in the series, but it's not going to leave a bad taste in your mouth. That would be the second remake of 1, though. I don't care. Personally. Maybe other people do. But Resident Evil 1 is an all-time legendary game for both good and bad reasons. I think it kind of deserves it. Mind you, Resident Evil 4 has like 8 versions. So if you're going to make that argument for 1, you have to make it for 4 as well. In my opinion. I just think that it wouldn't be fair to put it 1-to-1. Speaking of Rebecca, Resident Evil 0. Resident Evil 0 was a painful experience in my life. I wouldn't... Mike knows. Mike was there. I wouldn't consider it good. It's honestly, of all the Resident Evil games I played, it is by far the worst one. Ironically, it has my favorite character as the main character, but it took everything from Resident Evil 1 and said, what if we just bastardized it? You don't get any item boxes. It was a hilarious experience. It was. There's a lot of wacky bullshit, which Resident Evil is known for doing wacky bullshit, to be fair. But it seems like a lot of things were just off the wall. The villain wasn't really consistent with what they wanted. You had 2 characters that you could flip back and forth from, which the character change button is the exact same as the map button from Resident Evil 1, which, if you rewatch Resident Evil 0 series, 1, God help you, 2, you will see how angry I get from pressing that button into the last episode. To the last stream that I did, I was still, like, my brain had been so accustomed to pressing that button in Resident Evil 1 that I just kept doing it. However, I will say I respect the fact that they tried something different. Games nowadays never try anything different with the fear of failure. I think game makers nowadays are so afraid to fail that they make super bland games that end up failing. And to Capcom's credit, I don't think Resident Evil 0 did very good. I don't think it's the best Resident Evil game. I think it's the worst Resident Evil game out of the direct line. But it's different. They tried something, and it's not... It says something that their worst game is still a good game, right? For as painful as experience as it was, it did have fantastic moments. I still do love the characters. I love how they built, even Billy Cohen. We had a lot of fun doing it. It is going in D tier, but it's a respectful D tier. I understand why you would do it. It just didn't click, right? They tried something that just didn't work, but at least they were different with what they did. Which leads us pretty perfectly to something they also from a viewer perspective, the jank pulls it up higher. Fair enough. Fair enough. Okay, let's go through it my way, and then I'll talk to you guys and see how you feel about certain series, if they should go up or down. That might be interesting. So, to continue. Resident Evil 2, specifically the remake, was the first of the remakes. Which, even though I just said I wish they would have started with Resident Evil 1, starting with 2 was brilliant. It was the one everyone remembered, it was the one everyone loved, and it was so close to the original while being 2019. It was beautifully modernized, and it really set the gold standard for remakes. In an age where everything is being a remake, whether it be movies or games, they said, get the hell out of the way, we're going to show you how it's done. To this day, I think Resident Evil 2 is the single best remake of a first generation. I say of a first generation because I do think that Resident Evil 4 is better, even as a remake, but Resident Evil 4 remake wouldn't exist without 2. So that's why I'm saying that Resident Evil 2 is superior because of what it could have, what it did end up leading to, which is why it clearly, for me, goes in A tier. I loved Leon's route. I like what they ultimately did with Ada, even if Ada's not my favorite character. I love Sherry as a character, mostly in 6, because she's, you know, a real character. But I like what they did with her as well. They varied up the locations. The zombies felt nice. The gameplay felt nice. It's one that I personally, on my own, like, even when I was streaming at this point, I was still speedrunning this game. I was still doing challenges on this game. Like, I genuinely just poured so many hours into it because I loved it. It also, once again, was the staging point for what would come next as far as the upper echelon standard for how gunplay could feel in these types of games. It wasn't perfect, as we will see, but it was as perfect as it could be at the time. Resident Evil Nemesis. I never played the original Nemesis. It came out before I was born, and even though I played older games throughout my life, like Resident Evil 2, Resident Evil 3 just wasn't, I guess, well perceived, or it wasn't big enough. I'm not sure, but it never fell into my hands until the remake. I will agree with one of the major criticisms that it might be a little too short. Counterpoint, it also wasn't as expensive. They dropped the price pretty quickly, and I think that was the right thing to do. I stand by that. Capcom is pound for pound the best gaming studio right now because they actually are pro-consumer. It would be Valve if Valve ever released games, but Capcom, I feel like, has to be in the goated tier for now, which is ironic considering that they almost went out of business until Resident Evil 2, or at least they were heading there. Another reason why Resident Evil 2 is so important, the remake, is it literally... It theoretically saved the company. The company might have not gone under anyway, but it looked like it was going on that path, and now they've done a complete 180 and are going all in the pluses. And every time they release a new Resident Evil game, it's the hot topic. It's not gonna win Game of the Year. It's not gonna. It won some. 4 definitely won some of the Game of the Year awards, but the main one, even it was nominated. Capcom, or rather, Resident Evil is never going. It's more of a labor of love than it is a pure Game of the Year winner. But everyone's always looking forward to it. Like right now, Kevin, who's only played like 2 Resident Evil games in his life, asked me, when do I think is 9 coming out? What do I think it's going to be about? So like even new people that are getting into the series are looking forward to it in the future, and it all pretty much started here. The reason I'm not putting it in S is because there's some later on that I think deserves it a little bit more. Do they offer anyone besides RE? What do you mean? Do they offer anyone anything? Yes. Street Fighter is from them. A new one just came out recently. They did Marvel versus Capcom. Those games were pretty cool back in the day. And I think they remade one. They didn't make a new one. They remade one recently. And there's a long lineup of Capcom games. Not all of them are big. A lot of them, ironically, they act kind of like an indie game studio, where they release a lot of small games and then like a few big ones every few years. Which for the Resident Evil series, they were on a tear. Every single year a new one was coming out. But to Resident Evil Nemesis specifically, I liked Nemesis as a character. I don't like what they did with Jill. They changed her from being cutesy in the first game to being like more quote unquote hot in the third game. More like Ellen Ripley, like too cool for school kind of thing. And it's like, I don't know if I liked it, because it's also not who she is in Resident Evil 5. So her character's never consistent, which I think is the reason why people like her but can't love her. You love all these other characters. You love Leon, you love Claire, you love all these characters that stay the same throughout every game, or at least their changes make sense. But she just becomes a totally different person every game. And I think that is one of the major downsides. It was a shorter game. There were a few frustrating parts, albeit most of that was my fault. The boss fights were neat, but that was kind of it. It really feels like it should have been a DLC for 2, which was one of the major criticisms of the game. And for that, ironically, they're gonna almost fill up every slot here. I would put it in C, genuinely. Like, it wasn't... I think it adds more... It was more fun than 0. So I might put it like that. I would put it there, but I don't... On its release, I think it would be here, because it was full priced, and it definitely was. It wasn't worth it at the time. But once they dropped the price point, I think it kind of earned its way back up here. I think it got hated on for a few things that it's not. Although I do think there, like we've already mentioned, there's a lot of valid criticisms. But I do think it got a lot of hate for bad reasons. Resident Evil 4. Resident Evil 4... If Resident Evil 2 set the gold standards for remakes, and Resident Evil 3 was a lowering of the bar, Resident Evil 4 was to show everyone that they hadn't lost it. That they weren't crazy, that this wasn't just a one-off thing, that they were right. And my god, did they knock it out of the park. Resident Evil 4, the remake, I did play Resident Evil 4 originally when it first came out, and I did love it. I do love the original 4, and I will probably play the original 4 on the channel to some degree at some point. But the remake genuinely was on a different level. Yes, it was... even though they said they're going to go for more horror vibes, it definitely was still the action-oriented Resident Evil 4 of old. I think that's a good thing. I love how they remade... I actually do like the original Ashley, but I like this version of Ashley so much more. And I think what they did in this game could well fix what they did in 5 and 6, mostly 6, making the characters a little bit too old, making some of the characters not cool. Helena. Replacing, hopefully, her. And I think it aided to continue what could be the further. Like, honestly, without... Even though this game came after 8 and 7, which, by the way, 7 is really the one that rebuilt the Capcom and Resident Evil series. I know I mentioned that for 2, and I think 2 had a very big importance on that, but I actually forgot about 7 because we haven't played 7 yet. Because we're going in game order. But 4 is genuinely an all-time great. It was a big performer for the channel, if that's something that we care about. I don't think that it's S tier. I don't think that it's S tier. I would put it here. I don't think it's S tier because I wouldn't consider it a perfect experience. I loved the extra mode. I love the mercenaries in that game. I played on my own. I played Resident Evil 4 on my own since we did the original series for the channel. I feel like maybe if I had gotten to it when it first came out, maybe it would hit me a little bit harder because I kind of already knew some of the things that were happening. I mean, I've already played the original game, so I already knew what was going to happen. But, you know, it wasn't as wow and fresh to me. So I think that might skew it a little. But absolutely phenomenal. Like, genuinely. I loved it. I think a lot of people loved it. It was just had the kind of like how 5 and I think 6. I think 7 will kind of restart it because people love 7. But it kind of did hit a little bit of a lull because we were, as you see, 5 Resident Evils in at this point. So there might have been a little fatigue of this whole series, but it still, I think, pound for pound, was the best experience out of the 5 games, which it should be, being the newest one. Resident Evil 5. I'm going to try not to put personal bias into Resident Evil 5. Resident Evil 5, despite what I said, I did play Resident Evil 4, the original, pretty much when it came out. I did not beat Resident Evil 4, the original, until after I'd already beaten 5. I had started it, I had played it a little bit, didn't get all the way through it, aged up a little bit because I was like 6 when it first came out, aged up a little bit, then was kind of mature in quotes enough to go through, play it all on my own, and beat it. It was a lovely experience. Resident Evil 5 was my first. We really had to because I had an older brother. We're 4 years apart, so we had to play a lot of co-op games. We only had the one console, so we kind of had to split it for a long time. So this was the first one that I played, and I loved it to the point where I 100% of this game, purposely deleted all my progress, 100% of the game again, and that was just on the Xbox. Then when I got to PC, we got pretty close to 100%ing it. If we really wanted to, we could do it. And that was before I streamed too. Me and Ethan just played the game and had a lot of fun, and I wish I recorded that series. My God, that was hilarious. The jokes that we were cracking back and forth, and that it was a fresh experience for him. And I like, I love the Kevin playthrough, and I love doing streams with Kevin. But I think that stream well, we didn't stream it, but that series that could have been with Ethan was just, everything was great. And for that, for the series, for the channel, it didn't perform ultra well. It didn't. I liked it. I'm not sure if everyone did. It is a different game than the rest. It does take liberties, giving literal superpowers, which you didn't really have before this. At least not directly. You more had mutations. Then you had superpowers, which he gets during this game. So I'd say for the channel version of Resident Evil 5, I think you would go there. Despite my absolute love for the game, it simply didn't click as well as I'd hoped, and turns out most people preferred 4. Which I respect. Maybe when they remake 5 and we do play through it, maybe the attitude will change. But as of right now, it would feel wrong and feel biased if I put it any higher than that, because it just didn't flow as well as I'd like it to. But to finally get off of Capcom, we've been talking about them for about 20 minutes probably. Finally onto Batman. I swore I started Batman in 2023. I did not. It was very, very beginning. It was in January of 2024 that we started Batman Arkham Asylum. And to say that a trilogy was so important to this channel would be understatement. This series, I genuinely think, was the reason that everything kickstarted and got so well fairly quickly for a streaming channel. It performed well. I loved it. I love this series. I'll probably revisit it at some point because I love it so much. And I both wish Rocksteady didn't end it with the trilogy, but I completely believe they also did the right thing. It's one of those things where I want more, but because I want more is why leaving it off the way they did is perfect. Because you saw like Gotham Knights, and there have been other games that have tried to take Batman and the Bat family and try to do what they did, and they all fall short. At least in my opinion, and the opinion of most others, because I've seen Gotham Knights, it didn't perform very well, and it didn't look very good either. Which is weird, because it feels like it'd be so easy to make a good Bat family game, but people don't want to make the characters who they really are, or at least they don't want to delve deeper into the characters. They just want to throw them out there and be like, look, it's Batman, and not Batman. Which I think is disingenuous, and I think somebody needs to come along and fix that. As far as Arkham Asylum goes, similar to Resident Evil 1, to be a start of the series, which mind you, they wanted to make Arkham City first. Arkham City was supposed to be the first Batman game. But they were told it was too big of a project. They weren't going to get the money. Bat Family sounds like some sitcom. It really should be. I think that'd be hilarious. There actually is a it's not a comic book, but it's like an alt comic book. It's okay, I'm going to call it a comic book. It's not, but I forget what it's actually called. But there's a comic book series out there that is literally like a day-to-day in the life of the Bat family, and it's pretty funny. I don't keep up with it too much, but you can check into it. I forget what it's called, but you could probably look it up. It's cool. They changed Damian's race for some reason, which, if you don't know, Damian Wayne, son of Batman, is normally white, dark-haired, green eyes. Batman is white, dark-haired, blue eyes. So where does he get the green eyes? Talia al Ghul, his mom. Problem, Talia al Ghul is Middle Eastern and has green eyes. I'm not really sure how that worked out, but she is Middle Eastern, to be fair. But Damian has always been shown to be white, or at least predominantly white. In that Bat Family series, they weirdly change him to being extremely Middle Eastern. And I feel like they just did it to have different races shown, and that felt a little bit weird and kind of unnecessary. Speaking of Damian never even appears in these games, which I think was a little weird. Could potentially be that the comic, or rather the movie that came out that really made him popular, hadn't come out yet. I forget what year it came out. I think it was like 2014, 2015, which would be more Arkham Knight area. But they never did bring him in, which I thought was a little strange, or at least never even mentioned him by Arkham Knight, or made the idea that he could be there. I know that technically Talia is dead, but no one stays dead in the Batman universe, so they could have made something happen. And it's, it felt odd. Injustice did bring Damian in. They made him older. I didn't like that. And Gotham Knights didn't have him in there at all, which also felt weird. I don't know what the Damian hate is. I actually like Damian. Doesn't matter. Arkham Asylum. Fantastic beginning to a series. Definitely the weakest. But its weakest is top of B tier. I would put it higher if Arkham City didn't come in and do everything better, which is what it's supposed to do because it's a sequel. It took everything from Arkham Asylum and increased it tenfold. I love Arkham Asylum, and as I kind of wanted to mention this later, but I'll get to it now. When I started the channel, there were cornerstone games. And what that means is they were games that I was going to do because I knew that I would love them and an audience would love them. There were some games I wanted to do just because I loved them, but I didn't think would perform well. And there were games that I didn't really care for, but I thought would perform well on their own. Batman Arkham City was the second game that I did that was a Cornerstone series. A lot of the Cornerstone series we haven't even gotten to yet, because like I said, I had a 2-year plan, not a 1-year plan. This was one of them. I knew if I could do Arkham City, people will watch it. No matter how long it's been out, it's an all-time legendary game. People will watch it, and I will have fun with it, and we will have fun together. It was one of the major reasons that brought some new people in that are still around roughly to this day. And when it comes to games, when I was younger, this was such an upper echelon game to me that I knew I had to do it. And I'm so glad that I was right. Batman Arkham City did fantastic for the channel at the time that it came out. And like I said, it brought a lot of new people in. Dawson came from this area. Montoya came from this era. Even though Dawson did actually come in from New Vegas, which is here. But, they were going on at the same time. So for that reason, I think I had to put it in S tier. It's just... For me, it encompasses everything. It did well. I wanted to do it for the channel specifically, and the game itself is so good and so long-standing to me personally. Now, in saying that, everything that Arkham City took from Arkham Asylum, it did and did better. I don't think Arkham Knight did that. Now pause. I loved Arkham Knight. I loved this game. I loved the more open world kind of feel, even though Arkham City did that also. I loved the attitude it had, the longevity, because it was a much longer game. A lot of it felt a little repetitive, You know, a lot of areas just seemed empty to be empty. It's kind of seemed that they made the area large to look big, which isn't usually great. You need something to fill in, or at least make it make sense to why the world is so large. Starfield. Having a big map doesn't matter if there's nothing in it. So for me, I really like how they brought in a lot of different villains. The side villains, sub-villains. Some of them I don't think got enough screen time. Some were maybe not explained best. Or even more so, they didn't bring in everyone I thought that they could. I like what they ended up doing with Selena Kyle, with Batman, that kind of duality, the Bat and Cat connection. I love what Mark Hamill got to do with as Dead Joker, that kind of stuff. I also don't think they really used the Bat family enough. Ironically, because they actually, all the DLCs are about them, but all the DLCs are super short and only about one moment, and they never really come in. Nightwing is in the game a little bit, Robin's in the game a little bit, Batgirl is already Oracle by that point, but she's not really a major entity. I will say that's probably what the weirdest thing to go from Oracle in Arkham Asylum to Alfred in Arkham City. While I understand and I do love Alfred, it just seems weird that they switched it for almost no reason. Either way, I would rank it right there. It did very well. I loved it, but I don't know if it really... I don't know. It left me wanting a little bit more from it. That makes sense. So when I started streaming, I did it pretty much only as a duo. I did it with Cody or with Ethan. Always wanted to do it with somebody because I felt more comfortable being able to bounce off of them instead of bouncing off myself or the game. Or cause at first nobody was in the chat. I didn't have a Mike or a Pika or an Eleanor to talk to. Mostly Mike at this point. I appreciate you a lot, man. But New Vegas was the first solo series that I did. Because I know I could talk to about the characters. I knew I could talk about the game. I knew about the lore. I could go around and to say that this game was important to me. It's by the way, spoilers, top of S tier, and I don't think it's moving. Go up there, you fat bastard. I don't think it's moving. Fallout New Vegas is the perfect mess. And I think that's the only way you can describe Fallout New Vegas, is a perfect mess. It's not complete. It's not the most beautiful game out there. It doesn't... people have crashing issues. I never really had crashing issues with New Vegas, but it's not perfectly put together. But my God, is it perfect. Like it is the most, its imperfections make it feel better in a way. I have a different opinion on that, but alas, what's your opinion on it? What do you think? I want to know what you think about. Oh, this is meant to be a back and forth kind of thing. I know that we did the mods that we did. Mike, I don't know who did the Bounties series. We'll get there. Okay. I don't know who did the Bounties mods off the top of my head, but shout out to that person. I absolutely loved that. If you play New Vegas and you've never played the Bounty series, please do yourself the favor and play it. It's not all perfect, but it's one of the best mods for New Vegas. I genuinely believe is out there. I had so much fun with the series. We didn't get to do everything, but it's also one of the main series I want to and will revisit, because we're going to do challenge runs for this game because it's unavoidable. I love that game way too much. It's lovely. Yeah. So this was supposed to be Tale of Two Wastelands, which was Fallout 3, but I already put a Fallout 3 in here, so this doesn't actually mean anything. So we're going to skip that. This doesn't exist. Also, this one that's off screen now doesn't exist. It's just a black box because the picture wouldn't load. I didn't want to redo it, so apologies for that. But we'll go ahead and do Fallout 3 because we're here. we'll go ahead and do the rest of the Fallout series. Fallout 3, so technically here, but we're gonna do here. Fallout 3, we haven't finished yet. We are continuing. The infamous black screen. You know what? That's what it is now. That's what it is now. Fallout 3, we haven't completed yet. We are going to be continuing Fallout 3. We're going to be doing the DLCs, but as a game, it got completely overshadowed by New Vegas, and I think Bethesda never forgave the world for that. Now, in saying that, it's an excellent game on its own. There's a few things I don't like the downtown DC area. You know what? Let's reverse. Fallout New Vegas. Talking about DLC. The DLC for New Vegas, besides Old World Blues, phenomenal. The streamed version of Honest Hearts is literally the first time I ever played Honest Hearts. And it became my favorite of the bunch. Maybe because I streamed it, maybe because it was new to me when I played it. That was literally my first time doing it, but I loved it. I think there's a lot more in Fallout 3, really. I mean, maybe as far as like a denser experience, there might be more raw quests. Maybe. I don't like the world as much. I think the world just feels so much better in Fallout New Vegas than 3. Mostly because DC is a nightmare to get through. That's literally that's probably the major reason. Is that DC just sucks. If they aren't in power, then Fallout 3 should be closely behind, in my opinion. To me, Fallout 3 always gets overshadowed by New Vegas. Because New Vegas, to me, me personally, is everything Fallout 3 is, but better. Like, if someone sat me down right now and said, do you want to play Fallout 3 or Fallout New Vegas for the next 6 hours? New Vegas. I don't think I'd play 3 for 6 hours. I could play New Vegas for 6 hours and not blink. Now, in saying that, I am not saying it's a bad game. It is an excellent game. Which I can say about anything on this list, for the most part. Like, by no means am I saying that it is bad. But I don't think... Personally, I'd put it there. Mind you, that is not an insult. Because these games are all-time legendary, too. At least to me. But I don't know, I felt like I probably should have done Fallout 3 first. In retrospect, if I had done Fallout 3 first, it probably would hit better. But it felt like downgrading. It felt like downgrading to go from New Vegas to 3. There's less things you could do. Like, you can't aim down the sights properly. We can, because we have a mod for it. But natively, you can't. The story, the voice acting is a lot better in 3. I'll give them that, because they had Liam Neeson. They have a lot of like more big time stuff. Your character just kind of like feels like they're one Deus Ex Machina, which they are in New Vegas, but it feels cool in New Vegas. In 3, you're like just some kid who's absolutely brilliant and can do literally everything and can never do any good, no wrong rather. And when you get captured by the enemy turns their side, kills themselves, thanks you for doing it, and then sends you on your way, and you have no problems. And the Brotherhood just throws everything at you and says, we're here behind you, and there's no political differences. We are ultimate good guys, and there's nothing in between. It feels like they wanted a superhero story in the Wasteland. Where Fallout New Vegas feels like you're genuinely on your own, and you have to figure out a deep psychological problem in the world. Like, the political problems in New Vegas feel like they matter. In our playthrough, we were good guys, so helping the NCR feels like you're actually doing something good, but you know that the NCR has a lot of problems. There's no pure good guys. The Brotherhood aren't flawless, which is something I think that they do good in Fallout 4, by the way, is making them not flawless. They do have issues. Ironically, their issues are the same as the Enclave's. So they just turned the Brotherhood into the Enclave a little bit. I didn't really like that. But all in all, it is a great game, and a lot of code base and assets in New Vegas are basically Fallout 3. True. Yes, that is absolutely 100% correct. And on that exact same line, yeah, I know you can't have one without the other, but I'm saying similar to how, let's put it this way, a lot of the assets in Arkham City are the same ones from Arkham Asylum. Arkham City took everything Arkham Asylum did and built on it. Hi, SpongeBob. It feels like Fallout New Vegas took everything from Fallout 3 and made it better. That's just my opinion. It also didn't perform super well on the channel, which is probably also putting that taste into the mouth. As it didn't go nearly as well as Fallout New Vegas did. It hasn't gone nearly as long as New Vegas did, so that can be skewed. I could put it up to like here. I think because it's not done yet, so that's to be fair, these are finished series versus a non-finished series, so it's fighting up already. Blame YouTube algorithms. I will. Something like since we're already on the Fallout, since we're doing Fallout, we'll do Fallout 1, which is supposed to be this guy. I couldn't find the picture that I used for Fallout 1. Fallout 1 was so much fun for me. For me, anywhere in A is fair. Alright, now I like where it is. Fallout 1, I loved playing that game. Not only it performed extremely well because I was smart. I waited until my different opinion. What do you mean? You don't like Fallout 1? I'm assuming you don't like top-down games. Is what you're gonna get at. And you don't like the style of Fallout 1. Is that where we're going? So I loved playing through Fallout 1. Fallout 2 has been heavily requested, but there was an S++ tier. Oh, there you go. No, I loved Fallout 1. It was so much fun. We're going to do Fallout 2. We're not doing Fallout 2 not because I don't want to do Fallout 2. I want to do Fallout 2. We're not doing Fallout 2 because we're waiting for Season 2 of the show to come out. When Season 2 of the show comes out, we are doing Fallout 2. And I think it'll be bigger and better than Fallout 1. Because that's when I did it. I waited to do Fallout 1 for when the series was when the show just came out. So people were looking up Fallout Season 1, and you get Fallout 1 the game. And it performed well. I loved it. We had so much fun. It was cool. It was different. I liked the style. Everybody felt cool. Like the Brotherhood were the good guys, but they weren't purely good, but they weren't bad. The Enclave were well, not the Enclave. The Enclave weren't there. The mutants felt like a good bad guy. You learned a lot more about the lore. Everything felt cleaner, and it made more sense for the post-apocalyptic style. There was no pure futuristic bullshit, that you get in later games. Not that I dislike the futuristic bullshit. That doesn't really make any sense. But Fallout 1 felt like it was exactly what it was meant to be. And for that, I'm putting it at the back of S tier. And that has nothing to do with how much I loved it. It has everything to do with... Personally, I do prefer Fallout New Vegas because of legacy. I'm biased as fuck when it comes to that. I love these two games as a personal preference. If it was channel-based, if we were going pure off of analytical, this would be this would be the number one of the whole list. It would be right there, no questions asked. Because every stream banged. And every stream was fun, and it was absolutely pound for pound the best. You know what? I'll leave it up there. You know what? No, yeah, I would leave it up there. Eleanor, you're back. Yeah, I would leave it up there. That seems fine to me. I like it. Alright. BioShock 1. Maybe, probably, I don't think this will be a hot take. By far the weakest of the whole series. BioShock 1, I love the metaphors. I do love the story. I love some of the big moments. The whole you're a secret agent kind of thing. I do not think that it is nearly as good as 2 or 3. Once again, we haven't finished 3, but I have played it before, so we're gonna get to it. I think BioShock is the purest B tier I could think of. I think I want to put it there. I think I was a little bit more entertained by it than Resident Evil 5, but I don't think it really had the staying power that these two had. But I liked it a lot. It wasn't. It really felt like I was getting through it to get to the next one. So that's like the only real problem I have with it. Everything else was great. Everything else was nice. And also, I do think that for this, I played the remake or the remaster. But even despite that, it still looked great. It still played great. I have no real fundamental issues with it. In saying that, to go in order, I loved BioShock 2. The story of it was wonderful. I like playing as Big Daddy. I like, your relationship with Eleanor and how that fully plays out. 2 is kind of short. Was 2 short, or did we just play a lot more of it all at once? Because we had longer streams for 2 because I loved it. But I guess it was definitely shorter than 1, and it's going to be shorter than 3. So I guess it was the shorter overall. But do I care? I don't know if I do. I think I want to put it there. I think I want to put it there. Because yes, it is shorter. Is it perfect? No. As far as the series, no. I don't think it developed enough from from BioShock 1. I don't think it advanced enough. It advanced in story a lot. Gameplay, not at all. So they left a few bad tastes in the mouth. I felt like they could have done a lot more, which they did in BioShock Infinite. BioShock Infinite is everything that 1 and 2 are, but scaled up. Even though it's frustrated me a little bit, mostly because of, it had nothing to do with the game and far more to do that we were playing it during Christmas. And I was, a lot of busy stuff was happening. We are going to be hopefully finishing it. I don't see a world where we don't finish it this Saturday. I do think BioShock Infinite is all-time legendary. I love Elizabeth. I love the whole feel of the game. I love the style of the game. I think it capped off the series perfectly. They are doing a BioShock movie, and I almost wouldn't hate it if they just skipped right to 3. Because as impactful as 1 could be as far as a social standing, that's because of its themes, and 2 could be for its statification of games and movies, which people love. This game kind of does that too, but better, right? Because you actually have a character that speaks, unlike your character in 2, so it's more movie-esque. They can kind of do it better. The movie doesn't really matter. I'm just throwing that out there as a personal opinion. That has nothing to do with my current rank. A is piling up. True. That's why I limited to 5 in S tier. And additionally, I do only play a lot of games that I like. These 2 games that are in C and D are really only there because I played them. Because I wanted to do the whole series and I had to play them. Although I will say Fallout 4, because we kind of skipped it. I don't know why we did. I didn't mean to. I guess I forgot that it was there. Which kind of feels like Fallout 4. Fallout 4... I don't know. It didn't have the impact that I felt like it could have. I really like the mods that we did. But it didn't always hit, There were some days where I just wasn't feeling it. Fallout 4 is a very hit or miss game, at least for me. When it's on fire, it burns bright. But it also burns out quicker. And so it's, I don't know, it felt like I was, just kind of doing it to do it at one point. And I like Nuka World, but, oh god, it just, Far Harbor kind of took it out of me. It performed well at first. It did very well as far as analytical, and then it just dropped off steadily and heavily. And it just, I don't know, it kind of lost its gravitas at some point. Even though it didn't even have as many streams as New Vegas did, New Vegas was pretty much always banging for the time. And it always felt nice, and I always was excited for it. At some point, I stopped being excited for 4. And maybe that's my problem. We already had to play Fallout London, and that is on the list. So that is true. Now, let me also take off points. Let's go back to New Vegas for a second. I was going to do the Frontier, and I was going to try to do New California, but neither of them work, and both of them are fucking garbage. So, there you go. They're both broken messes, and that's why we didn't play them, if you were wondering. Or other total conversions? There is one that's being purposely left off this list. If you think I forgot about Enderall, I didn't. Enderall or Eternal, whatever the fuck you want to call it. I think Eternal is correct. Eternal is purposely not on this list. I did not put it on here because it's not finished. We are going to be continuing Enderall, whatever, Enderall, over time. It's one of those where it's like every few months I'm gonna do it, and it's gonna be like just slowly we're gonna complete it. I think that's kind of, it could be kind of fun. Anyway, it's purposely not on the list. But Fallout 4 for me, it had a lot of promise, but it never really lived up to the promise, So I'd put it at like top of B tier. It really fell off for me. There are a few games that aren't finished. Oh, I know. But there's a difference between not being quote finished and I have a desire to return to it or not return to it. There are a few games that aren't finished that I probably won't return to. Or if I return to it, I'll just restart it. Eternal is one that we will pick off right where we left off and just continue. So that's why it's not here. Pika, if you're still here, now is your time. Star Wars Knights of the Old Republic 1. Wait, what? At least the Fallout 4. I'm going to say the Fallout 4 combat is better. True. The Fallout 4 combat is better. The story is weaker. I like building, but I was never good at it, so that's probably once again, that's on me. That's not about the game personally. I was never great at these monolithic buildings, but I saw people who were good at it. My brother did it very well, and I loved looking at that. That was kind of it, Also, if you're wondering about 76, I do plan on playing 76 actually fully the way through. Or at least fully, it's an open. The game is endless, but actively playing it at some point. So that's also why it's not on the list, because it's not done, and I have full intention of coming back to it. But no, KOTOR, Light Side Run, the perfect Star Wars game. You actually said you'd do a building stream. I know, I wanted to do it, but it's so fucking long. It was so long. I tried it off stream a little bit, and I don't know. Maybe I should have just done it, and maybe I would have felt it during the stream. He's back. I knew it. You did hear KOTOR. KOTOR 1, Light Side Run. I think it's the best Star Wars game of all time. Do not at me. I will not have it. That's not to say that I think there are other great Star Wars games. Because there are really bad ones and there are really good ones. I love the new ones that came out. KOTOR is the best. KOTOR 1 is the gold standard. In fact, I have somebody that is very into Star Wars and a little bit into games, and I told her, if you're gonna play a Star Wars game, if you don't care about graphics or age, KOTOR 1, or I said Knights of the Republic 1, but KOTOR 1 is the single best experience you're going to have playing a Star Wars game. I loved every bit of it. It performed well, if that's what you care about. I loved like how we got to mix up the art styles. I love Revan. Revan is my favorite Star Wars character. Before I did the KOTOR series, I'd already played the game beforehand. But, you know, before we did the series for the channel, Revan was already my favorite, and we will be going back and playing a dark side run. Once again, showing how much I love that game. Is like New Vegas, we're going to go back and play it again. This, we're going to go back and play it again. It's happening. KOTOR 1 is a near perfect game. If we... Yeah. No, here's the thing. The gauntlet was entertaining. Yeah, I was frustrated. Yeah, I quote hated it. But we had like 8 new people in chat that day. And we had it was very talkative, and you know, I got to vent my frustrations, and everyone got to entertain from my pain. So even when the game was bad, it was good. Like that's how good this game is even the bad parts worked. If they remade the game, would I prefer them to limit the gauntlet? Yes. Yes, I would. And they should remake the game. And if they're going to make a next trilogy of movies, they should make it KOTOR. It was a party watching the gladiators suffer to survive. Well, I'm glad you felt entertaining. But yeah, if you care at all, if you're new for any reason and this is your first stream, genuinely go back and watch that series. I think pound for pound, it's one of the best. There's a playlist. There's a completed playlist series, and it's in there if you care at all. We're gonna go back and play through it as a dark side. Also, a little spoiler, we're gonna be playing as a girl next time. Oh, fancy. Yeah, evil girl. I'm actually gonna switch it up. I'm gonna play as a girl in the first one, and then I'm gonna play as a guy in the second one, because for our light side runs, we played as a guy and then a girl. We're just gonna switch it back. So you get the full experience, you know? Mwah. Perfection. By the way, speaking of perfection, KOTOR 1 goes right behind Fallout 1. I just sucked it off for about like a minute and a half right there. It didn't perform as well as Fallout 1, so that's why Fallout 1 gets the top place. But my god, as far as playing a game, it is the number one. It was so much fun. I loved all of it. Reva, KOTOR 1 female protagonist. There you go. Knights of the Republic 2. We probably only have one more stream left of Knights of the Republic 2, so I felt like I could put it on the list. And it is, as I would say, a confusing mess. That is not the only time I'm going to describe a game on this list like that. We will get there. But it is just so... It's like they took everything from 1 and didn't understand what made 1 so good. It's not a bad game. They did some cool stuff. But it just feels so weird. Your character makes no sense for even existing. It wouldn't be a stream of my dogs barking in the background. At squirrels or maybe a cat. But it's weird. It's weird. I've had so much fun with KOTOR 2, but it's also just been so frustratingly like close. Okay, there we go. That's a good way to describe it. It's so frustratingly close to being great. Weekly dog barking contest. It's so frustratingly close to being great. That is the perfect way to describe it. It's not a bad game. It's just it drops the ball on the 1 yard line. It gets so close to finishing the job, and it just falls on its face. Although I love the characters, I don't think the characters are as strong as in the first game, but I do still love them. Last episode, last stream, made me love VS so much more. Turning VS light side is not something I even thought I could do. Hey, there we go. High potential, poor execution. I would say okay execution. High potential, okay execution. And if they ever do remake 1 and then they go to remake 2, they can refashion it to be better. I had a lot of frustrations in the last stream, but at the same time, I had a lot of really cool moments the last stream. It's the ultimate balance, where a really cool thing will happen and then a really bad thing will happen, and there's no in between. That's it. So yeah, I think that it's pretty neat. I like the Sith Lords they brought in for it. I do like Nihilus as an idea. I do like Scion as an idea. We haven't actually really fought Scion yet. I felt they could have explained the cave better. I thought the cave was okay. How to butcher a Sith name. What is it actually? I call her Vius, Vitus, Vulpes. She was something else at one point. What was it? What was the other one? There was a really funny one that was left off. Cave was KOTOR 2's gauntlet. Exactly. It's not because KOTOR 2, the cave is bad. Visus. Visus? Vias. I don't know. One day we'll learn how to pronounce it. I'm sure they say it in the game at some point. Visusmar. Visusmar? Okay, sure. Yeah, I feel like there's a lot of things that could have done better. So I think it goes top of B tier. Top of B tier. Top of B tier. There we go. Because, like I said, bouncing off of Grandma, some of the shorts were fucking hilarious. Although we had like so many hilarious moments in this game that it's a legendary series to me. But it could have been so much better. It could have been so much better, which is what's sad. It just feels wrong putting in A. Because it feels incomplete. Yes. Bouncing off Grandma sounds like a video I watched once. Oh yeah, I love putting it. I don't if you don't join we have a Discord if you're ever interested in it. But in the Discord, when you're like, oh, I saw the stream and blah, and like I forget exactly what you said, but I go, yeah, don't worry, we'll kill Grandma next stream. And then I realized most people in that Discord have no idea what the fuck we were talking about. They're like, what the hell are killing Grandma? Why are they killing Grandma? And it's like, yeah, Grandma betrayed me. I've never known such a betrayal. No, it has a lot of funny moments. And there's a lot of cool, like, neat things you can do, but it feels like it could have been so much better. Speaking of something that could have been so much better, Tomb Raider. For a series that was voted twice to not perform very well, I was a little bit frustrated, to be honest. It felt like everyone who voted for it went, yeah, but I ain't gonna watch it. I just think you should play it. Like, yeah, I know. I have already played it. I think it was a lot of fun. I love Laura as a character, but as a series, I think it is mediocre at best. I would put it, that's fair. Bottom of C. I had fun. I love Laura. I do like the story. But it just didn't click. Yeah. So maybe if we had continued and gotten to Shadows, it would have been a lot better and performed a lot better. But Rise, the first episode of Rise did not go very well. So I was like, you know what? We'll just replace it with something I think will do a lot better. And so far, it has. So it's always gonna feel like what could have been to me. It could have been great, but it just was never gonna live up to that standard. I do love the series. I do love Laura. The Laura versus Laura argument was the best thing about it. Okay, well, let's like throw a little shade here. I like the game. I like the game as a game, but it didn't hit me as well as it could have. Borderlands, this is going to count for Borderlands 1 and 2. We haven't completed 2, but this is just going to be a whole series wrap-up. I love playing games with Kevin. I do. Kevin is hilarious. I love Kevin to death. Honestly, I don't think I would enjoy Borderlands nearly as much if I wasn't playing with Kevin. It's been so much fun to do and to play and to have so much fun, but I don't think I would care as much about the game if I wasn't actively playing specifically with Kevin. I think that's just outright. We still, even Kevin was like, hey, eventually we are going to go through and do the DLC of 1. So for Dawson or whoever's talking about us doing the DLC for Borderlands 1, we will be doing it eventually. But as a game and as a series, I think it has to go in B tier. Because like I said, it's much more me and Kevin just bouncing off of each other than the actual game itself. I mean, to be fair, I've already played 1 and I've already played 2. I've not played all of pre-sequel, and I haven't played a lick of 3. So maybe once we get into the newer ones, it'll change a bit. And there's a lot of things I'm excited to do in that game series, and it's something that I still we still have a lot of plans for. But like I said, it's mostly a way for me and Kevin to have a lot of fun, rather than it is the game itself. 4 is coming out, so hopefully that's pretty good, and it's something that we're going to be working towards. But all in all, it's just okay. It's just neat. A game that is not just neat. Dying Light. Dying Light was such a surprise to me, both in how it performed on the channel and how fun it was. I didn't expect much from Dying Light when I first played it. I was like, it's a game that I can play. It's a horror-esque game. And I've heard a few good things about it from my brother and a few other people. I didn't really expect much. Assassin's Creed meets zombies. That's kind of how I'd put it. I did like it a lot. A new game of that is coming out soon. So maybe we get Dying Light 2 and play through that, and then go to, what is it? The Horde? Is the Horde the new one? What's the new one called? The Beast? I think it's The Beast. It looks really weird. But I don't know. But I think it has the same main character. So I think that'll be pretty cool. I will say the villain seemed pretty lackluster. And there's a few choices in quotes, or a few things that your main character does that just doesn't really make any sense. I think sacrificing the main girl seems really unnecessary. I kind of said at the time that it all felt like kind of pointless. And there's a few things it's kind of spoiled for me. Why is that? Like the new one? Or what? Don't forget to drink your water while we're waiting on him to type it out. So I experienced their previous products first. What's that? What's their previous products? Dead Island. You know what's funny? Never played Dead Island. There you go. Maybe that's what we do. Maybe we go play Dead Island at some point. But it's on the list, mind you. It is on the list. I never played Dead Island. So we can go do it. Dead Island 2 looked okay. I don't know about it. We'll get through it. There's a lot of games like that I wanted to do. Dead Island was one of them. Dead Rising was one of them, and they're remaking those. So that's why I waited. But no, Dead Island, Riptide, and Dead Island 2 are all games that are on my list. But I never actively fully played through them. So maybe that will be skewed towards me. And maybe it's better that I'm playing Dead Island second if that's how you feel about Dying Light, because Dying Light was excellent as far as gameplay wise. Story was okay. Felt like I had a few issues, but gameplay, loved it, performed well. I think it goes there. Definitely A tier. I don't think, despite how well it performed, I think the story pulls it back from being a pure S tier, and we only have one more slot for S tier, and I think I know what has to take it, and that is No Man's Sky. No Man's Sky was so unreasonably fun. You know, like how I said earlier, the problem with Starfield was that it had a lot of space but nothing in it. The difference is that's not the point of the game in Starfield. You being alone, in quotes, is the reason for No Man's Sky. I loved No Man's Sky. I loved how it looked, like how it felt. Maybe I'm missing something? What do you mean? What are you missing? What's going on? Talk to me, Michael. How do you feel? Do you not like where I put No Man's Sky? Did you think it wasn't worth it? I don't know if were you around for maybe the end of No Man's Sky. I don't remember. I know that we had what was their name? Oh no, it's been a while. They only watched me in order to watch No Man's Sky, so I forget their name off the top of my head. But we had Lindsay. Yeah, Lindsay. We had someone named Lindsay in chat every single time I played No Man's Sky. That they were there the whole time. It was a lot of fun. It was pretty cool. I think you were there. I think I remember you and Lindsay talking. Maybe. If you think it's A tier, what do you think? You think it should be lower? Oh, I'm saying it's A tier simply because of gameplay. No, that's fair. Because I'm also mixing gameplay and how it performed, because it did perform very well for the channel. But I could easily see it to be like here. That's the problem with Dying Light, is that it's graded on a scale, right? It's graded on a curve, so where I can easily see it being here, but I can also see it being there. I could definitely say that these other games have a lot better things in them than Dying Light. But Dying Light had the perfect storm of it did well, and it felt nice, and it was pretty fun to do. Even if I think it was lackluster in a lot of other areas, if that makes sense. You know? Whoa. Whoa, I'm talking about Dying Light. You're talking about No Man's Sky? No Man's Sky was so much fun. I'm gonna put that. Let's put it at the bottom of it here. No Man's Sky was a game that almost changed perspective for me as far as games go. I loved it. I love open world games. I love that kind of crafting style game. I do. It was very chill. You got to actively see your progress. I like being being a mayor of the mini town that you got. Messed up with tears. Sorry. Okay, that's fine. But no, I love getting the massive capital ship. I love how many different ships that you could get to fill it up. I love being a mayor of each town. I love going out and discovering things. Learning. It had a lot of science to it. It had like a whole mission system, a bounty system. It had you getting in trouble with the law. It had a story that was okay, not great, neat. It was literally endless, which I think is so fucking cool that like you literally could spend your entire life on this game and never beat it. Actually, that's something I actually like about it. You want to think about the right game? Are you? Because I'm talking like this has space stations, it has missions. Were we at New America? Yeah. Yeah, that's New America. Lindsay, New America, capital ships, flying around in space. doing bounty missions. It's all the things I like about games put together. It was a beautiful game. I love the missions of it. Just the way it feels, the way it looks, the way you discover things. I don't know. I'm just kind of repeating myself. But basically, I didn't think much of it going in. And when we played it, I wanted to keep playing it. To the point where even when the boys were like, oh, we can't do anything today, I was like, nah, I'll just keep playing. I played this game on an off day because I just wanted to keep playing it. It's not the first time or the last time I've had a strict desire to just keep playing a game, but that was definitely a time where I just wanted to keep going and keep playing. I can't remember anything that would stand out. I think the problem is the boys kind of dropped off. I feel like once the boys dropped off, the world felt even emptier. But I had so much fun playing that game, and I wish the boys would have stayed with it. They don't like multiplayer games, which is how I would describe No Man's Sky, is that you can be together, but not together. Like, you can't build on each other's bases, so you have to be apart, but you can actively be on the same world. So it's a little weird and different. It's not like Minecraft where you're together all the time. So it's a little bit different. But for me, if you like super open world games, at least try it. I absolutely love No Man's Sky. Outlast. It only had two streams, and it was during the Halloween month. I think we could do a speedrun of this game, honestly. However, I will say, when it comes to that, it's not indie. I don't think it's considered indie. But of that style of game, it's a really good horror game. It gets you when it needs to. It has a decent story. It's just neat. I would describe it as neat. So when I put it here, I don't mean it as an insult. I'm putting it at the top of C tier because I don't think it's as good as these games. But I'm not saying it's bad by any means. It is not a bad game. It's just nice to have. It was nice to play it. Doesn't necessarily stand out. Doesn't necessarily have anything necessarily going for it. But I don't think it needs to. It was exactly what it needed to be. And that was it. Assuming there's no disagreements with being in C tier. Metro 2033, and this is where we get to the problems of only being able to put 5 in S tier. I love these games. They were so much fun to go through. Basically take Fallout and just go, fuck the open world bit, we're just gonna have story. If you like post-apocalypse kind of stuff and you never played Metro, please play Metro. You'll be doing yourself a service. Honestly, Artyom is one of my favorite protagonists in any of the games that we've played. I love him. He's like half silent. Something's got to go down. I have to agree. And I think I know what it has to be. I think we all do. But not for this one. Metro 2033. Okay, we'll get that. Metro 2033 is good, but not great. I don't think it's the best in the series. Although, once again, it's one of those building block games, like Arkham Asylum, like Fallout 3, like Bioshock 1, like Resident Evil. It's better than those. But it's one of those games where the next one did everything better, which is why I want to put this like here, and then I want to do this, because Last Light is my favorite of the trilogy. I think Last Light is the best of the Metro series. It has everything. It doesn't try to do too much, but it increases where it needs to. I felt like Metro Exodus tried to do too much, and that was its problem, kind of. Once again, you're going to find out here in a minute where I rank Metro Exodus. Spoilers, it's not bad. It's pretty good. But I think Last Light was the perfect middle ground. It had so much more to it. Its story was better. It felt better. I like the love story in it. I like the things that you could do in it. Too many things the other way around. Fair enough. I think that's fair. Maybe people don't like Anna. I do like Anna. I like Little Green, or the little alien that you get. I forget what we called them. You know, I like it. I like the way that it presents Moscow in that game. I think it presents Moscow better. I know. Last Light in 2033. I mean, I'm saying that maybe people don't like Anna, so they prefer 2023. Or 2033, rather. Once again, that's not. And which one was the one where you go into a gulag? That is Last Light. Last Light's where you get taken in by the Nazis, which I thought was excellent. You do the stealth missions. Well, they're all stealth missions technically, but the specifically stealth mission. And then you get D6, which I know is in 33, but you get the battle for D6 too, a little bit. Was that 2033? No, that was the battle for D6 was Last Light. My God, like everything I'm thinking about is from Last Light. It's like, yeah, it really feels like 2033 but better, which is what it's literally supposed to be. But it's like I think it increases everywhere where it needs to, and that's the difference between these two. Is that one is just a straight upgrade to me. Mind you, Metro Exodus. I like I do like that they tried something new. I like the new locations. I like that you can go to the desert. I like how it's not just all Moscow. I like how you see new life. I like how you go into the green areas. But it feels like you're kind of without purpose. Like, we found a place to settle down, but we're not gonna go there. We have to move on because military. Oh, we can't leave here because we have to be good people. No, oh no, our people have gotten kidnapped, or they're about to die, or something. Right? They hide the Anna sickness, even though it makes no sense to do that. And it's like, I know they were trying to get a big reveal and a shocker, but it's like, it just makes no sense for them to have done. It's not who she was. It's not who we've built. Although I think the Anna relationship is much better in this one versus Last Light. I think I have to rank it right behind 2033. I think 2033 is better, but not by much. I like what you could do as far as changing your weapons and building them differently. But I just love the feel of the underground in the first two games. You know? I missed it when we were playing through Metro Exodus. So I kind of miss the claustrophobic underground feel. So I think that kind of proves how much I actually like the first two. And they are games I'll probably revisit one day. As I've already played them multiple times. I have like 100 hours of Metro Last Light. I love that game. Ugh. Speaking of games we didn't complete from earlier, if there was an F tier, it would be there. Alien Isolation is the worst stealth game ever. It's the least stealthy stealth game I have ever played, and I loathe it for it. I will say I like its style. I like what it did. It pissed me off a lot, to the point where literally the last stream I got so angry that I had no intention of playing it again. I was like, hey, if people want to see me finish it, I'll finish it. I have zero intention of going back to that game. That might be the angriest I've ever actually been in a game. That's why I called the title. I don't think that was just exaggeration. I think that's genuinely the single angriest I've ever been at a video game, ever. Alien got destroyed. But that's the thing, is like, no one acts like they should. Your character does weird things. Ellen Ripley, I do think, it's not Ellen, what's her fucking name? Amanda. I do like Amanda Ripley in a general sense, but she just does some weird stuff. The story is okay. It's just cool. And I think the second one's coming out, so maybe the second one will be better for me. But I just did not like it at all. It did not feel nice in my bones. But if you want to not be just angry at a video game, but angry and confused, there is Bethesda's really confusing absolute nightmare, The Evil Within, which is going there. The Evil Within, I don't think, is a bad game, gameplay-wise. But if someone could sit there and explain the story to me, maybe I would understand it. But I don't think any of that person exists. I don't think the person exists that can explain this game to me. I don't know what happened. I played the game, and if you ask me what was the story about, I couldn't tell you. Loss, like I can give you like a general idea. Like it was about loss. It was about, you know, that's it. That's all I can tell you. That's as detailed of a description as I can give you about that game as possible. It's better to watch it. I can tell you that. What? Evil Within, I assume. No, Evil Within was annoying as hell. Mostly because I didn't understand, and I don't think anybody ever will. How this game got a sequel, I don't know. I could play it. I have it. Goop. That is true. Goop is A tier. Evil Within is D tier. The memes, A tier. The game, D. So maybe if I played the second one, it would be better. But as far as the first one goes, I don't even know what to say because I literally do not understand what happened. It felt like I took LSD. I don't do drugs. I don't even smoke marijuana. I don't do anything like that. It felt like I was on some sort of drugs playing a different game. That's the only way I can describe it. To move on. Minecraft Skyblock, which finished in 2024. It did not start in 2024. I threw it up here because I already had it on there. I didn't find the ages in time, and instead of just having a few that I'm not using, we'll go ahead and do it. I think Skyblock was pretty cool. I think it was a lot of fun to do. We actually ended up completing it, which was pretty neat. We haven't yet to complete ages. Minecraft's fun with the boys, you know. It's not like it's just good times. It was just nice. We had Pissbag, which was a channel meme for a while, and it was a lot of fun to have Pissbag as my companion and the boys, and we did Bogwarts. I got to be a wizard. I'm a wizard, Harry. You know, all that kind of neat stuff. But at the end of the day, it's just kind of Minecraft. It's the best version of Minecraft. In saying that, we're going to do Minecraft Ages. Minecraft Ages, for what we did, C tier. If we kept going, fucking get into the top. If we kept going and got to Galacticraft and all that kind of stuff, I think it'd be way, way higher. But because we just really... Who came up with Pissbag? Me. It was my robot. And then Ethan... it was a robot companion, and then Ethan DDoSed it, and he DDoSed my Pissbag. So I named him Pissbag. It's actually spelled with one S, if you really want to know. But if you don't remember, the last episode, was me... We were exploding the world, the island that we were on, and we put Pissbag on this grand throne. We made a marble and gold throne to him, and we put Pissbag on the throne, and then we set off a nuclear bomb underneath it. He lived, because Pissbag is one tough son of a bitch, but, you know, You know, that once again, that was 2023 is when it started. 2024, January 2024 is when it ended. You were not around yet. It was a lot of fun. I really wish that Ages felt like that series, because it was like I said, it was so much fun. It was very popular for the time. Like, I think it was the first time any of my streams hit 200 views. It was the first time my streams had hit 100 views during the stream, although it didn't. It was weird, which is why I counted it again when it came to Hell Let Loose. But technically, that was Bloodlighting was the first time where I was doing blood magic, and I was making a whole bunch of music references. Like, I was making a lot of My Chemical Romance references, if you know that band. But yeah, it was so much fun. It was the embodiment of how cool Minecraft could be. Minecraft Ages, like I said, would have been cooler if we continued and actually got to finish it and got to go to Galactic Craft. And one day we might. No, the boys haven't said we're done with it. Just that we're taking an extended hiatus. So who knows the future of Minecraft Ages specifically. We might end up doing other Minecraft series. I might do a hardcore series, but like actually try to do a series of it. They only suggested to name a pen, it was Skillet to Cody. That is true, which is Minecraft Ages is Septec. That's the same thing in this list for anybody who doesn't know. But yeah, it was one of those things where it's a lot of fun. But to me, it felt like it ended too fast. The boys, we had a few days a few weeks where they genuinely couldn't do stuff, and that's one thing. But then they just kept pushing it back, and then they're like, let's do different things. And I just kind of had to agree. And I do think that changing it up will be nice for us as a group. But it is kind of sad, and hopefully we come back to it, because it is a lot of fun, and I really wish we got to Galactic Craft and got to do a lot of cool stuff with that. But anyway, Black Screen Gaming is obvious top of the S tier. Nothing could ever beat Black Screen Gaming. Black Screen Gaming is the single best thing ever. No. But seriously, Pokemon Snakewood is probably not something a lot of people remember, and if you do, I feel sorry for you. I feel bad for having remembered it. I wish I actually forgot to put it on the list, but I had to. Pokemon Snakewood was one that me and Cody played together. That's why I subbed, was Pokemon Snakewood. Oh, Black Screen. I was like, there's no way your first stream was Pokemon Snakewood and that got you to subscribe. No, that makes a lot more sense. But Pokemon Snakewood is the okay. It tricks you. It's a Trojan horse. The first 16 hours of gameplay, normal, cool Pokemon zombie game. Like, it's a post-apocalyptic, neat Pokemon game. The last 24 hours, that's right, this was, like, in game time, the series was maybe 60 hours, if not more. Now, my first stream was near the end of Fallout 1. Okay. But I'm just saying, Pokemon Snakewood, if you love to see my pain, go into the back half of Snakewood, where I start naming it after being in pain. It is so painful. If there was an F tier, it would be in it, along with the other ones. It had a lot of entertaining moments, which is why it's above The Evil Within. But it was just it's one of the reasons why me and Cody stopped doing those AM streams. Was because it was so bad. Like, by the way, my idea was FNAF. His idea was Pokemon Snakewood, and that's what we ended up doing, because he was like, oh, we'll do FNAF afterward. Fuck off. I don't know why I ever let him convince me to do that. I thought it'd be fun, and it was fun at first, but then it just became such pain. But we did beat it. We did actually get to the final credits, and that was pretty neat. But my god, was it terrible. Ugh. 7 Days to Die was one of the earliest series that we did. It was a lot of fun, although I think it could have been a lot better. I think it was kind of just okay. It was fun. It had a lot of channel memes that come from there and have stuck around to this day. And that's really all I can really say about it. Is I look forward to playing it again, because I never played it before, at least not really. So I had to learn, and I was with two people who are masters, thousands of hours into the game, at least hundreds minimal. And I was pretty much a newbie, and it was a lot of fun to go through. It was a lot lag. It was very laggy back in the day, so hopefully with our new version of our PC, we can run it a lot better. There's a lot of cool moments, but it seems that Faith is missing. We didn't beat Faith, and I might go back to Faith. That's why it's not there. There's a few of them that are like that. Shadow of Mordor is not on here, though I believe that I would like to go back to it eventually. And there's a few others, so that's why. 7 Days is good. It was nice. But now we're getting into the upper echelon. The Wolf Among Us and The Walking Dead Season 1. The Wolf Among Us, I genuinely think, is the best Telltale game. Maybe Tales of the Borderlands. Tales of the Borderlands is really good. But Wolf Among Us was so good. And it was a recorded series, not a streamed series. So that's the one thing that stands out from this to the rest. And I feel like it could go here. It was so much fun to do. It didn't perform extraordinarily well across the board, but it was a lot of fun. It was the first recorded series that I did, and I just love that game for what it is. I loved it. And now from that game is where Flower asked me if I would stream. Flower Queen asked me if I would stream The Walking Dead instead, which is why I ended up doing it. I was already halfway through recording The Walking Dead. Walking Dead is not the OG. Walking Dead is not the OG. Technically, their first one, I think was, and I have it, we can actually play it, was... Back to the Future. Back to the Future was their first, and then Wallace and Gromit. No, Back to the Future was earlier. Back to the Future was early to 2012. It was right before Wolf Among Us. It wasn't, it was after Back to the Future. And Wallace and Gromit. There you go. Little Telltale knowledge for you. Walking Dead Season 1 was so good. Chair, I think, is going to have to be a channel meme from here on out. And it's not my favorite of the series, but it's one of my favorite all time. I love Telltale. I love all their games. I would play the Game of Thrones one if they had a season 2, or if Game of Thrones was popular. Again, I don't, that kind of stuff. But for that reason, I think it has to go at the top of A. It was wonderful. It made me tear up at the end. I don't feel like less of a man for saying it. I absolutely loved it. Absolutely loved it. It's how do you turn a comic book into a game? That's the only way you could do it. It was perfect. Yeah, I want to show that Homelander meme. It was perfect. Perfect. That's the only way. That's how I describe it. It was the perfect building block for the rest of the series, and I love season 2, and we're playing season 2 right now. If you're at all interested in that, if you're new, we've just did. Even Chair teared up. No, it was meaningful, and it was huge on YouTube, massive on YouTube in general, and it's performed okay on the channel now, even in this dull time. Okay. The one that probably mattered the most for the channel at the time, Lethal Company. Lethal Company was the first game I ever played on the channel that was new when I played it. If you look across this board, a lot of these are older games, or they were slightly older when they came out. Lethal Company was the first time I bought it, like, for the channel specifically, not the first time in my life. But the first time for the channel specifically, I bought a game within the month of it coming out. And pretty much across the board, it banged. It had Gamba. It was the original It was the originator of the Gamba meme, which has continued to this day and will keep going to today. When we play Liar's Bar after this stream, I'm gonna move that back, by the way. I'm gonna take like a 30-minute hiatus. I'm gonna move that back to like probably 4:30. But either way, it started the Gamba memes. It is truly not a one-of-a-kind game anymore, but it's the best of all of them. It was so much fun. I could play it right now and have so much fun. It wouldn't perform as well, but that, honestly, I don't even care. It was the perfect mixture, right? It was the perfect storm of new. Every time we post, every short that I posted did well. All of them. It was because it was new. It was paid for, so people did. Not everyone could play it, so people were watching people play it. Like Marvel's Rivals didn't do very well, but I think it's because it's a free game. It's like, why wouldn't you just play it? It's like, it was fundamental for the channel at the time. And it was so important. It was so much fun. It was the time we had all the boys together. At one point, we had literally 5 people playing, and it was absolute goated. And I'm gonna break the rule. I'm gonna break the rule. Lethal Company deserves to be right there. It deserves to be an S tier. It belongs there for the channel and as a game. I think it's the only real, true indie game on the list that isn't a mod. To Pokemon Snakewood. It's the only true indie game nowadays, and it was one of the best I've played. It won't be the only one. I'll give you, for people who made it this long, small spoilers. Undertale is going to be this year because its 10-year anniversary is this year. So that's why that's one of the reasons why I didn't play it last year. I was gonna play it last year, but I saw that this is the 10-year anniversary. It came out in 2015, and I was like, oh, now I have to wait, like literally a month. It's like I have to wait a month in order to start it. Give me a second. Sneeze. But no, I absolutely loved Lethal Company. It was what we needed at the time. So there we go. That's it. Comment if you agree. Where would you put some of these games for you personally? What would be your tier list? And so on and so forth. Put in the comments below. Also, I didn't really mention it up to this point, but bless you. Thank you. I didn't really get to mention it to this point, but I did change the channel name. I wasn't very happy with Companion Kiwi really at any point. It felt awkward to say. When people ask me, like in real life, hey, what's your channel name? I felt wrong to tell them Companion Kiwi. It felt weird. It felt odd. This one, I hope, will feel a lot better. In fact, I'll tell you this. More top-down experience? What do you mean? What? More top-down experience? What do you mean? Anyway, while you explain what you mean, I'll keep going. I changed the name to something I felt like it felt better. It felt more appropriate. It also calls back to the original name that I had, which is pretty cool. It's not just random. Top-down experience games. I mean, yeah, we could do that. I was saying, like, I knew we had to play Undertale this year because it's the 10-year anniversary, but we have a long list of games that we're going to get through. And tomorrow, by the way, is going to be a special new thing, so you can look forward to that for tomorrow. It's also later today is going to be the first time I'm playing Liar's Bar. If you're watching this afterward, then it's already happened, but, it'd be like that. But as far as the channel name, I felt like I needed to change it to something I was more confident in, something I felt nicer with, and that's why it did. And I will tell you this, it immediately paid off. Went from being stuck at 1,348 to within 6 hours of me changing it, we bumped back up to the 1.35 range. And hopefully we keep growing from here. Going into this new year, we get bigger and better. That guitar is loud, I know. With a capital L, I do know. Here, shut up. But yeah, it means a lot for this last year. I hope to get through more series. Now that I think about it, that is a lot of series. That is a pretty, like, now seeing it all on the tier list, that is a lot. But I hope we do more with this coming up year. We have a lot of cool things planned. I'm going to start recording more. I think that also means we're going to start streaming a little bit less. We're at least going to complete a few series before we actually drop them off. But we'll see. But thank you for joining us. Thank you for being around. Thank you for everyone that's been in chat that's ever. But especially thank you to Mike. I know that's late in the day for you being over there in Russia land. I know you don't actually live in Russia, but it's similar enough. But for you being around, you haven't been. So you came in Fallout 1. What's that? That's pretty early in the year. That's like what, March, I think. So you're coming up on your on your 1 year mark, and really we we're a few months after the real true restart of the channel when I really started streaming. But I didn't start streaming more than 3 times a week until January of last year. So we're coming up on a year since we really kick-started truly. What do you mean, not actually? I live in Russia. Or, wait, what? Not actually live... Is there supposed to be an I in there? I thought you said that it was in the area. It doesn't matter. Let's not... There you go. Russia. Good for... either way. I know either way it's late in the night for you. And it's probably already January 2nd for you, even though it's still the 1st for us. But anyway, like I said, thank you for joining us. More importantly, thank you for watching. It's been a great last year. Really, really genuine it has. It was such a fun year. I love being able to do this, and I love being able to continue to do it, especially as we start getting to the point where I can put money back into the channel and keep growing. The area is Moscow. Well, shit, that is definitely within Russia. How did I forget that? How did I forget that you lived in Moscow? Damn. Okay, fine. There you go. We've already doxed you. We know where you live. It's Moscow. Can't be more Russia. Leningrad. That's Russia. Anyway, it doesn't matter. But once again, thank you for watching. It's been a great year. And here's to another even better year for us. Hopefully we get a lot of growth. I think with a lot of things that we have going on, we can experience the biggest growth of the channel. And if you would care, you could join me and possibly us for some Liar's Bar in about 30 minutes. So I guess ultimately, thank you for watching. It really does mean the most. Bye, everybody.